All right, we're almost there. We're almost there.
I see that it's streaming on Facebook. So
Very good, very good. I'm gonna shut it off with the computer and just look at it on here. There we go. All righty, and then I need to change the. There we go, the gallery view, so that we're both there. And the webinar is now live. So thank you guys for watching. If you're sitting here on our Facebook stream, I'm Dr. Letitia Wright. This is the Media Monday live stream. We're live. So if it's Monday night, 4-ish, 5-ish, 6-ish, 7-ish, you're watching the live feed. And what we talk about on Media Mondays is really using media to expand your business, expand what you're doing, and give you a chance to really learn something from some people that I know are out there killing it. You may not know about them, but I know about them. So definitely want you guys to hit those thumbs up and those hearts, especially if you can hear me. I can do a test right now. Make sure we got the audio up. So if you are watching, please go ahead and give me some thumbs up that you can hear us, and we're coming in loud and clear. And today we have two guests on, but Isiah Fowler is here right now. And so we're going to talk about podcasting. You guys know that there's a big boom in podcasting. Well, while the barrier is very, very low, you don't have to know anything to have a podcast. You don't have to, you can just start a podcast and just start talking. The barrier is very, very low in terms of growing your business and growing your name. Well, your podcast has to be good. It has to be good. It has to be interesting. Has to be good. And so I wanted you to talk with someone who is doing this right now. He's teaching it. He's blowing up. He has some fantastic guests. He's even teaching a class. We're going to talk about that this weekend coming up. So if you're on the East Coast and you need to figure out how to get sponsorship and how to get your money together for your podcast, you need to tune in. If you're new at podcasting, you need to tune in. If your friends are doing podcasts and you're yawning, please share this with them, whatever the button up to the side, whatever you got going on, share this with your friends and let them know we're about to get a master class in podcasting well enough to make some money. Okay, not just podcasting to talk. So if you're just wanting to talk and you just want to waste some time, no problem. But I'm about the business of podcasting. If you know podcasting would change your business life, would add the kind of clients that you want, and gives you another stream of income. I tell you guys all the time about Gwenny B. I talk about Gwenny B. They sponsor my clothes for this event. They sponsored my clothes for last Saturday's event. They're sponsoring my clothing for next Saturday's event. All of those things can happen when you have a podcast that kicks. So I'm in a interesting mood today. You guys welcome Isiah Fowler. I had so much fun with you and so much fun on your podcast. It's just fun to get to hang out with you. So catch me up, catch our viewers up. What are you up to as of right now? And at the end, definitely tell people about the class because it's coming up shortly. And you guys can go live or you can frickin' stream it so you have no excuse. And when he tells you the price, I'm getting ready to sign up. I'm going to sign up just so I can see what he has to say because I can learn something. But anyway, go ahead. I'm gonna let you have the floor.
Thank you so much. And it's hard to say what I've been up to just because I'm like tunnel vision, so I don't really care about yesterday or last week and stuff like that. And a lot of times I forget the things that I have done or whatever it is. But since we've talked, I know it's been about a year now, a little over a year actually.
Wow.
Yeah, I remember we talked, I think it was like either in August or September last year.
Wow. Okay.
It's September now. So
it seemed like that long to me. It seemed like 6 months ago, but okay.
I know, right? It's crazy. Time really flies. But ever since then, I've just been really working. I've just been learning a lot of things and just networking. And earlier this year, I came out with the mixtape and I sold that physically, I had a physical product, but I also gave it out for free. And what that did was it helped out the brand, and it helped out just the awareness, and it was something different. And then also I went on tour the end of August, which was the beginning of September. Labor Day weekend was the first event, and it was a 13-city tour. And so DC is actually going to be the last city that we go to, which is going to be this weekend. Mm-hmm. But I've learned so many things on this tour per se. And so from there, what I'm going to do is next year, we're going to do a whole nother tour, but we're going to go the sponsorship route, and we're going to do it a lot more smarter, and it's going to be a lot more thought out and planned. But I've really just been working hard, have been growing relationships, building relationships, and continuing to see, how I can help people, mm-hmm. but also how I can stand out in this space and be completely different.
Now, even the title of your podcast is really different. What was the concept around naming the podcast and what you're doing, and how has it changed? Has it evolved a little bit? Is it pivoted a little bit? You were talking about pivoting either yesterday or this morning. I forget, because I listened to 2 different podcasts you did. And you were talking about pivoting, and being able to pivot right now, even if it's just by 5 degrees, is so important, because we have an opportunity to really reach our target market. So the concept, the name of your podcast, and then how has it changed?
Yeah. Well, when I started my podcast initially, I just thought back to when I was in the military. And when I was in the military, I used to always just dream about my freedom. And so I just remember thinking about what a perfect day for me was. And the perfect day for me was, I had accomplished some business, I had made some money, and I was just driving in my car with the sunroof open. Like, that was freedom to me, and that was what I envisioned my life to be. So I look back at that, and I always said that I had a vision. And so it started with the vision. And so the fact that it started with the vision, that's kind of where the name came from. I remember my mother, she was helping me with when I used to do photography, she was helping me with my photography business name. And so from all of that, she really, really, really gave me an idea with something about like vision photography, but I wasn't a photographer anymore. And so that kind of played, a factor in it. But that's how I came up with the name per se and the concept. But when it comes to the pivot, I'm actually getting ready to launch a new podcast here in the next month or so, because I have to get the messaging a lot clearer for what I'm doing now. And so I'm still going to have my flagship podcast per se, but what I'm going to do is I'm going to have a whole new podcast for a whole new niche and a whole new demographic and target market.
That's very, very exciting. Did you guys really hear that, how it's thought through? It's kind of cool that you have the military background, because as a creative person, now you know that he's going to be successful because he not only has the creativity to think of something else outside the box, but from the military, he has the discipline to actually do it. That's why we love people in the military, because they know how to get stuff done. So those 2 things, it's great to have a vision, but you also have to have the discipline every day to go through the motions and do what you need to do to get to that goal. So Pamela said, what's the name of your podcast again? She's watching, Pamela Stone. She wanted to know the name of your podcast. I purposely didn't say it, so I'm waiting for you to say it. But go ahead, what's the old podcast and what's the new podcast?
Oh, well, the podcast, it starts with the vision. So Starts with the Vision podcast, and basically Starts with the Vision podcast is entrepreneurially based, and we just focus on putting out content to help anybody, no matter where they're at in their business, understand and learn how to kind of get from where they're at to where they want to go. Because I feel like I've been through a lot in business as a young entrepreneur, and I've been through a lot of interesting and unique situations. But the new podcast is going to be tailored to people who want to start a podcast, build a podcast, grow a podcast, and use it as a marketing tool. So I don't even have
exactly why I want everybody to tune in and listen, because using your podcast as a marketing tool is a new tool that we've just had in the past years. People have been doing podcasts, but sometimes not focused on how it can make money. I've been invited to be part of podcasts, and it's like, it's for fun, but I also have to think about, how do I make money? How do I make some money? And if you guys have not figured that out, you need to do that. Now, you have some pretty interesting guests, and I want to say, people are always like, how do I get good guests? How does that work? Share about your process.
Yeah, so it's funny because we're in a society where a lot of people are very cookie cutter. And they're very boring, and I never liked that. And so what I do is, if I don't feel like I could vibe with you, and I'm young, I'm urban, so I just have a different persona. I'm not some old guy who's in an office and I just feel like I have to do this because I have to. I do this because this is my life and I have a message to people. So when I'll really reach out to people personally to be on the podcast, I've probably checked them out online via social media, and I see how they present themselves on a daily basis, or I've read an article about them, or I've heard another interview about them, and I'll reach out to them. So, and I only reach out to people who I want to talk to. I only reach out to people who I truly see, like I feel a connection with through the phone or through the internet or whatever it may be. I don't just have a slew of people. Like, I don't say, hey, come apply and that's it. And, we just talk for 20 minutes. Like, that's boring to me. So, and I also only interview people who I would do business with, or, I would like as a client, or I think that, we have some type of synergy.
That's a really good line to have, the synergy, that you would be willing to actually put out money and spend money with that person. That makes a difference. And
big difference.
I think that it brings a different level of people, to your particular podcast. Before we run out of time, definitely let's talk about the event that's coming up, because people can actually live stream it if they can't show up. So I would like for you to share that opportunity.
Yeah, so I interviewed somebody last week, Kiana Murphy, and she's really amazing out in DC, DMV area. And so I partnered with her and two other amazing women, and we'll be doing an event. It's part of my tour, but we'll be doing an event in DC, and we're going to be talking about, it's 4 speakers, myself and then 3, and we're going to be talking about how to build a huge community. One of the guests, Duran Young, she's built a community of over 16,000 people, therapists, and she's doing really well with them and really serving them and helping them find out more about themselves and, what they want to do with their life and everything. And she's doing some great things. We have Audra Upchurch, and she's a very, very, very amazing speaker. And she's really going to be talking about, becoming a paid speaker and demanding, what you're worth. And then we have Kiana Murphy, and she's going to be talking about sponsorships and how you can get anything sponsored, meaning an event, a product, a service, whatever it is, your brand, a Facebook Live, you can get anything sponsored. And I'll be speaking as well, talking about how to continue to use podcasting as a tool to grow your business, grow your brand, connect with people, network with people and stuff like that.
And and give us the link as to where to get that.
So it's going to be in DC. So if you're in the DC area, you can register, and it's $47 for 4 hours. It's going to be 10 a.m. till 2 p.m. And if you're not in DC, you can live stream it from wherever you're at, and that's just $25. And the link is bit.ly/podcast Go Deeper DC in capital letters. So that's bit.ly/Go Deeper DC in capital letters. And it's Go Deeper because the theme is we're going deeper, we're going deeper in your brand to get a deeper connection with your clients and your customers. And that's the theme for like 2018.
2018 is Go Deeper. My mentor, Adrian Graham, would be happy to hear that. That's what she's always telling us. Yeah, but go deeper. So deeper. Go deeper for 2018. I like that. Let's talk a little bit about building and nurturing relationships. What does that look like for you on the business level? I don't know what his personal life is. So y'all interested in dating, you got to talk to him. I'm not going to talk like that, but I'm just talking about the business. What is the business relationship development path like with you? What does it look like? Is it touches? I'm very scheduled with it may not appear scheduled, but it is actually very scheduled. So tell me about yours.
Well, what I do is I truly do believe that relationships are absolutely the cream of the crop. It's the lifeline of your business because, you can have a relationship with your customers. You can have a relationship with your tribe. Relationships are everything, but relationships are, how things happen. So what I do is I build my relationships based on the people that I interview. And what I do simply is, before we even start the interview, I'll have a quick talk with them because I'm seeing how we vibe and I'm seeing what the chemistry is. And I'm seeing if we have good energy, if this person has good energy and, from there we interview each other. And after we just, I'm a very personable person. So we may have a quick conversation and this conversation, it'll be about, what do you do? What's the goals for you moving forward and stuff like that. And I always tell people just keep in contact. And then I naturally allow the things to happen. So I always follow up with a thank you card. And I let people know that I appreciate their time. And then from there, if it's natural and it's organic, then what we'll do is we'll continue to converse and talk with each other. And from there, whatever opportunities come up, they'll just come up and they'll just happen.
Absolutely.
But I'm more organic than anything. I don't force anything, but I definitely open the door for other people to kind of enter. And if they open the door, then, we were meant to do some type of business together or help each other out in some way, shape, fashion, or form. But my main thing is I'm all about giving first, because if I give first, then I know that I'll always be taken care of because it's universal law. And I don't ever want anybody to think that I just wanted something from them and that was it.
Absolutely. Okay, so if you guys have questions, you need to hit me in the inbox with your phone number so I can call you and then you can ask him a question live. I know you guys want a podcast. You want a podcast to be interesting. You want a podcast to be relevant. You want a podcast to make some money. This is the person to speak with. So I do have one person that wants to ask a question. So we're going to reach out to her right now. And so we are reaching out, and then I'm just going to do audio on the phone. So real old school, new school.
I like that.
Right. It's Pamela Stone, and we'll see if we can get her on the line.
Hello.
Hi, this is Dr. Wright, and you're on with Isiah Fowler. How are you?
I'm good. Thank you.
You have some questions you want to ask him. I should point the other way. Him about podcasting. So this is the guy. He's in it. He's doing it now. He's making it work right now. He's not telling you what he did 10 years ago. He's talking about now. So I'm going to let you just have your questions.
What's going on, Pamela?
Hello. How are you?
Doing good. Yourself?
Great. First of all, this has been very informative. So I want to thank you for taking the time out because I am getting ready to jump into doing podcasting. So I have some questions for you, if that's okay.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so the first one is, what platform do you use for your podcast?
In terms of what? What do you mean? Which platform? Like what?
Well, where is your podcast aired on? Is it Blog Talk?
Everywhere. Yeah, it's on everywhere.
Like, are you on one platform in terms of Blog Talk Radio or something like that, or did you have your own podcast and then you distribute it? How are you?
Yeah, it's mine and I distribute it. I don't use Blog Talk Radio, and if anybody is listening, if you do use Blog Talk Radio, you need to stop using them ASAP, because they're collecting all your data and you're not able to build any type of audience, following or anything, because you have no real connection. So yeah, mine is distributed to iTunes, iHeartRadio, Stitcher, SoundCloud, YouTube, Google Play, and all of those things. And from there, that's kind of how, and I do it on my website as well. And I just push everybody to my website so that I can collect email and contact them from there.
So he's getting the email addresses, the contact information, and that's really good to know, because I liked Blog Talk Radio because it indexes you so well. But when you think about it, if I can't build an audience, I can't monetize it. So he's totally right on that. The think about having your own thing. My grandfather used to say, God bless the child who has his own. Think about having your own thing, and then you distribute it where you want to distribute it, because believe me, as you get bigger, they come for you. If you're not on their platform and you've got a big tribe, they're coming to ask you to be on their platform. So I can see that as a totally viable thing. Okay, any other questions? Go ahead.
Yes, I do. So my next question is, so how do you attract your audience to your podcast? Do you do advertising, or what do you do to get the people to your draw the people to your podcast?
A myriad of things, but what I did when I very, very, very first started, in my very beginning days, I just messaged everybody that I knew. But then I also, a few months later, I started doing Facebook. Well, once streaming was available for Facebook, I would, do Facebook Lives of me actually recording those podcasts, and then different groups. You don't really want to promote your podcast. You want to promote yourself, and then the people will come to your own page and they'll see, what your podcast is, and then they'll go from there. And then you could do, Facebook ads and Google ads and stuff like that.
So the face name recognition part of it is important in the beginning. Would you say?
Yes. It's about creating just momentum and excitement. If you could create some momentum and excitement, from you and getting people invested in you, then it'll definitely be, popular down the road.
Okay, perfect. And then lastly, thank you for your answers. Then lastly, I know you're having a workshop. Can you give that address again?
The address to the location.
Yeah, give us the address, give us the URL, give us the details.
The URL is on bit.ly/GoDeeperDC in capital letters, and you will be registering there. And on that landing page, it'll have the address to it if you're physically in DC. But if not, if not in DC, then you'll just be doing it virtually, and you'll get an email of the link to view it live stream.
Okay, well, those are my questions, and thank you very much.
My pleasure. And if you have any other questions regarding podcasting, or you want to get it done, then definitely just go to my Facebook.
Now, podcasting was all the rage, and then it made a dip, and now it's sort of, I guess, internet is old enough for things to start coming back. So what do you attribute that to, the new interest in audio?
Because for one, you have people like Gary Vee talking about it now, and people just hop on a bandwagon and do what certain people say. Secondly, podcasting is one of the only things, just like music, that you could listen to while you're folding your clothes, you're cooking, you're eating, you're reading, you're riding a bike, you're lifting weights. You can't lift weights and watch YouTube, so it's so versatile. And the fact that it's versatile, you're able to subliminally control people's minds into kind of like your content, if that makes sense. So you're subliminally putting your voice in someone's mind, and after so many times, they're going to just like have a deep, strong connection with you, and they're going to be ready to, invest with you.
Got it. So what's your favorite thing about podcasting for you personally?
It was the biggest outlet of my life because I just got featured in the Huffington Post not too long ago, and it really saved my life because when I started it, right before I started it, I was married, and at the time it wasn't super easy, and I ended up getting divorced, and so I could have stopped it, but at the same time, what I did was I just continued to use it as an outlet, and so it really was therapeutic to me, and I was really talking to myself. People think that I was doing it for them, but I was really doing it for myself because I knew I wasn't stupid. I knew I wasn't a bum or broke, so I was just inspiring my own self, telling myself to keep going. And other people, it resonated with them. So my favorite thing about it is it's really an outlet, and it's really something that you're able to, connect with people on a deeper level. And I don't know who's listening. Every single episode, I don't know who's listening, but I know that when I get messages, emails, text messages, and people say, you really changed my life, or I listened to you for 10 hours today. It changed my life in so many different ways. And it's about good karma, and it's about goodwill. And when you put out goodwill in the world, you're only going to get it back.
Very good. So when you're working with someone on their podcast and they're trying to figure out a name for the podcast, do you have any tips on naming a podcast? I had an experience where recently I heard the name of a business that was so bad that it just made me stop. Like, no one has told you that's a terrible name for a business. So what would be a great type of name for your podcast and the not so great areas to name your podcast?
Well, people should definitely realize that it's not about them. It's about the problem that you can solve. So if you really are looking to create a podcast that generates money and generates clients, then what you need to do is you need to name the podcast something that somebody would be looking for. So maybe a how-to podcast, or the answers to this, or something like that. You know what I mean? So as I'm thinking about my new podcast, I'm thinking about something, maybe like, podcasting for business, or, the client attraction podcast, or something like that, because that's what people want for this. And that's going to get the right people listening to the podcast, and that the right people are going to be coming to me looking to have me, work with them on a one-on-one basis, or, my done for you services, whatever it may be.
Absolutely. So we definitely recommend podcasting as part of your tool, especially if you're trying to grow your name and make yourself nationally known. Podcasting is one of the easy ways to do it. You need to learn how to do it. You need to learn how it fits into your arsenal. So definitely check into this class and check into signing up for the class. If you're interested in working with me, I help you do that. I help you do a little bit past it. Get your podcast together, and then I'll help you blow it up. You need to get out there. You need to get your name out there. You need to get your products out there. Check out the Marquise Icon program at www.marquiseicon.com. Just go over there. You can apply, and you can talk to me about what it is you're trying to do. If you've got a whole bunch of Me Too marketing going on, then we should talk. If you're really not standing out in your group, then we should definitely talk. So that's what I do with the Marquise Icon program. But I love interviewing people that are just really good at what they do. So, okay, this is our fast question section. You ready?
I'm always ready, Doc. I'm always ready, Doc.
Always ready. He is always ready. So, other than Dr. Wright, what was the most fun interview you've done lately?
Lately?
Yes. Because I saw you smiling on this one interview, and I was like, oh my gosh, he is in heaven.
I know it's when you're talking about too. That's why you're laughing so hard. Nah, she was real cool. I interviewed Rochelle Washington, and what was so interesting about her is she wasn't ashamed, of who she was, and I think that that's one of the most admirable things on this planet, right? Because a lot of times people are just scared to be themselves or say who they are, and she talked about everything from her sexual orientation to everything. And for her to be so unapologetic and not scared about what anybody else has to say, I salute her and I respect that 100%. So I think that's probably
to hear somebody else be, just them. It makes you feel like, you know what, I can be just me too. So
exactly, it helps give you permission and confirmation.
Mm-hmm. And to see it done with such, I would say, she has elegance and grace about it. Just very,
absolutely, like that's really her.
Mm-hmm. Like really, really accepting of who she is, good and bad. Good parts.
Exactly.
So that is good. Okay. Favorite camera to use for video podcasting?
Well, a camera I used to have, it was a Sony, like a FS something, and it was a video camera, like specifically for video, and it was like super, like amazingly clear, and I just loved it so much. But it actually got broke, like when I was traveling one time.
Yeah.
So I had to get a Canon, but yeah, I like the Sony FS.
Sony, okay. And next time around, though, you're gonna be in the Canon family?
No, I'm gonna go get a video camera. Again.
Okay.
Yeah, I'm gonna get a Sony again pretty soon, but they're like $15,000.
Okay. So
yeah.
I just want to check and make sure we don't have any other questions here.
Okay.
What is your favorite microphone? I do see one. Yes, kind of, but I don't know if that's your favorite.
I mean, honestly, it's super simple, but this Blue Yeti is definitely, it's simple, it's to the point. It's not no $500, and it gets the job done the way it needs to. And then I could send the audio files to my audio guy if need be. But the Blue Yeti is definitely a good go-to for me.
And that's what it's actually called, you guys. When you guys go to Amazon, it's called Blue Yeti. Mm-hmm. It's called Blue Yeti. What is your favorite editing software? Do you edit yourself or do you send it out? Because like me, I feel like editing makes you old fast. So
no, I send it out. I send it out to somebody else.
Okay, good.
They do it all. I used to, and it was GarageBand, but not anymore.
Okay. And that's growth, you guys. I mean, you get to the point where there's only so much time and you got to add a team to it. How big is your team right now?
Just three, kind of, sort of, because I have a VA, and then I have somebody who handles our websites when we get a new client, and he does all the websites for them. Then I have a guy who handles the audio editing, and that's pretty much it.
Okay, cool.
So
will you be expanding the team a little bit more, or
maybe like I was thinking about having like a sales team, like a local sales team or something like that. But we're gonna just have to see how it goes. Mm-hmm. I can't like predict it, but if we did expand the team, then it would probably be virtually first, or I would get one like local assistant as well, because I think that would help as well. But for now, 3 is good.
What is it about podcasting that you don't like?
Depending upon how many episodes you do a week, I don't like recording every day. I don't record every day, but when I say every day, I mean like every time. Some days I just don't feel like it. It'll be like 2 weeks where I don't feel like recording, and just getting through that barrier and still performing at the level that people have grown to know you as. That's kind of,
Does it feel automatic? Because I mean, I've been doing Right Place TV for 17 years, And all I have to do is get on the set and say to open it. I just drop into that mode. Have you gotten to that point where it's really body muscle memory?
It is muscle memory at this point. It's really just a mindset. So when you put yourself in that state or in that mindset, you already know what time it is. And so for me, I know what time it is when I sit at this desk. I have this microphone plugged in. I know exactly what time it is. So, and before I record my episodes, I definitely, I pray just for like the anointing of my mind and my tongue and my thoughts and everything, so everything flows through. But definitely, I think that once I put my mind and I say, okay, it's time to get in that mode, I get in it and I do what I have to do, and I go from there. And everything I do is just one take through. I don't do any, second takes and none of that. It's just all 100% raw, real. This is me, who I am, and this is the information, and we go from there.
So doing the one takes, we all have little mistakes in the one takes. How do you get okay with the level that it's at? In other words, the one take, and do you not worry about the mistakes, or do you hear them and say, that's livable? Because a lot of people are like, oh my God, I got to make it perfect.
Well, that's the problem with people. They're always trying to make it perfect. They never even put anything out in terms of content or whatever it is. So to be very honest with you, I took Toastmasters. I was a part of Toastmasters. And so what they helped me with is saying and ah and things of that. So from there, what I did was, that's why I do one take, because I don't say I don't say and I know what I want to say. So I have an outline of what I want to say, the topic, and I just talk about that. But that's also why I pray for the anointing of my mind, so that I don't have a slip up. So if I'm not saying and I'm already speaking fluently, I don't have to take a second take. So for me, I don't even really need a second take, or there's not too many mistakes, because I know I have a sound mind and I know the message that I'm trying to get across, and I know the time frame. So I know what my cutoff is. And once I finish, I stop it, I export it, and I send it to my guy to edit. I don't think about it. I just put it out there. That's it. Because you can't sit here and be trying to, rush perfection. All you have to do is continue to put out your best version. As long as I know that episode was the best version of myself, then I'm fine with that.
Very good. What is, if you could pick your absolute pick, anybody in the world to be your co-host for a week, who would that be?
My co-host for a week? Wow, that's interesting. Co-host, that's very interesting. But if that would be my co-host, that would mean that we would be spending time together outside of that. And that's what would be more valuable to me. So honestly, I would say Nipsey Hussle. He's a rapper in LA, and he's extremely smart. Like, I look up to him. I don't look up to a lot of people, but that's one person that I look up to, I learn from. And one day I'm going to meet him and do business with him.
Absolutely. Nipsey Hussle. Okay, you guys, if you haven't heard of Nipsey Hussle, you need to do a little search on YouTube and get caught up. What's the last business book you read?
I'm looking at a few of them. I'll actually show it to you.
Oh,
this one, this is on my. This is the last one.
Oh yeah, we love Dan Kennedy. Yes.
Direct marketing, social media, direct response marketing. This is what the most recent one that I read right here.
Okay.
And it's really good. It has a lot of good points in it, and it simplifies a lot of things.
And those who are looking for the classics, what's your favorite classic business book that you read?
The Alchemist.
I just recommend somebody.
The Alchemist is my top. The Alchemist and Outliers are super. I like Think and Grow Rich, but if we want to take it that route, Outwitting the Devil.
Yeah, I haven't heard all of that. I have it on CD.
It's amazing.
For some reason, I've heard 2, but not. I don't know if I can't find 3 and 4 or what happened, but I haven't heard.
Just get it on Audible.
Yeah, I did, but I just bought it, so I just bought it. It's
Yeah,
like
I like that
one
one
up
better.
in the house.
Yeah, I like Outwitting the Devil better than Think and Grow Rich.
Really? Okay, that's interesting. I'm
Yeah.
definitely gonna listen to it now.
Because everybody talks about Think and Grow Rich so much, so now it's becoming cliche. And I don't like. That's just how I am. So the top 3 would be The Alchemist, Outliers, and Outwitting the Devil. Those are probably my top 3 classics, and I think that they're all classics because they've sold millions and millions of copies.
Okay. Podcasting aside, podcasting is making trillions of dollars. You can do whatever else you want to do. What else will you be doing?
Traveling. That's it. Traveling, staying in shape, and eating great, organic, good food.
Great organic, good food. Have you always been organic or vegan, or is this fairly new?
I've always wanted to be super healthy. When I was younger, I was a kid, I used to eat bad, like a whole bunch of bread, like a whole bunch of sugar and stuff. But when I was in the military more so is when I got more health conscious, when I started lifting weights a lot. And so, but I was eating, chicken, salmon and stuff like that. But when I moved to Atlanta and I got out, about 2 years after, maybe a year later, is when I started going like plant-based and trying to be a little bit more vegan. But I've always been eating good and eating right. But now I just want I want my food to be my healer in a sense. So I would say the last year I've gotten more closer towards the vegan side.
Okay.
But yeah, I've always wanted to just be very healthy, be in shape. And always look.
Yeah, plant-based eating is starting to look a little better,
Right.
now. So, because before the recipes were like, what? I'm not eating that.
Right. You eat with ice.
It's like, I don't know what I'm going to eat, but it ain't going to be that.
Right.
Yeah. So I've seen some really good recipes on some places now. They're like, okay. And as soon as it gets a little cooler here, can't wait to try. My goal this fall is to try every squash. Like never had acorn squash before. I've had the big white ones, but not acorn or. So my goal is to eat every squash this fall.
Have you had butternut?
Yes. Yes, I like
that. Yeah, I like it too. I love it. So yeah, definitely. Just want to eat good food. I want to travel more. I've already been to a good 20 countries, but I want to travel a lot more. And that's pretty much the main thing. And I just want to make a lot of money and just live a fruitful life.
Okay. All righty. So where do you think the next big breakout will be in terms of podcasting? Will it be from the equipment? Will it be from the topics that people are covering? Where do you think podcasting is going overall?
I think it's like now having a podcast is not enough. I think it's going to be, I know it's going to be from the standpoint of what are you doing with the podcast? How are you using it as a tool to get your message out there? It's just a platform. So a podcast is no different from a workshop, an event, a conference. It's just a platform. Mm-hmm. So what are you doing behind the scenes is really what's going to separate you from the rest. What a lot of people do is they start a podcast and then they say, you know what? I'm going to just let it sit on iTunes. That's not what you do. You use it as a tool and you leverage it to get what you want in life. And from there, that's where I think the attention is going to be going to.
Do you think people should podcast what they're interested in or try to podcast to the tribe? In other words, what the tribe wants, or can you make it on a completely personal thing with podcasting?
If you have an insanely creative mind and people really love you, then maybe you can make it that way. But if you already have a business, you're a coach, whatever it is, and you're making money, then you use that podcast to amplify that. But if you sit here and say, you know what, I want to start a podcast and I want to be a sports anchor and just talk about sports. Well, you need to figure out how you're going to do this. There's a few different routes you can take, but with the proper strategy, yes, you can make something happen. But me personally, I'm not going to sit here and tell you, go talk about ghosts and your podcast is going to make money. It has to be a good mixture between you can enjoy it, but what is the people, what is already making you money? And I learned that because my podcast at first was just inspiration, motivation, and entrepreneurship. And so I'm trying to figure out how to navigate my way through this. And so I learned the hard way. And that's where I come from. I don't come from learning about my successes. I made $1 million. I'm telling you what I did wrong. Because the person who's teaching you what they did right, they don't know what's wrong. So when something comes up wrong, they're not going to be able to teach. But I know what I did wrong, so I know what you don't need to do. So you're going to be successful. You know?
Very good. If you guys are just joining us, we only have a few minutes left. A few minutes left. I'm talking with Isiah Fowler. We're talking about podcasting. He does a wonderful podcast. He's taken it from zero to making money. And he is probably, I'd say you're a little bit, and I want you guys to listen to his podcast too, so I don't want to give it all away. But I'd say you're a little bit contrarian. Would you say that? You kind of go against what everybody else is doing. And so, but his strategies work, you guys. His strategies work. I love people who are contrarian. I don't want to be, going with the whole flow, it's just right. Everything I do, I always think about a different angle of coming down to. That's why I always dress when I'm in the airport and when I'm traveling. People are like, oh, just travel comfortable. No, I go fully dressed because if anything happens, I want to already be in boss mode to fix it. So I don't have to worry about, am I going to get this or get that? I'm dressed. They don't have to question whether or not I'm entitled to get whatever it is I ask for. So the whole thing is, embrace contrarian people and embrace contrarian ideas. Don't do it the same way everybody else is doing it. There's no reward there. And there's too much me too. I'm going to give you about 6 minutes and let you just rock the mic and share the message like they would get from you.
What you want me to talk about? I want you to give me some type of topic, though.
Give us a topic I know you've been talking a lot lately about how to keep going, how to stay motivated. We're in this last quarter. A lot of people have had a good year. A lot of people have had a not so good year. But these last 90 days, is this the time to coast or is this the time to go hard?
I'll tell you like this. I think this has been the theme for me in the past this year. I've gone through a lot in my past 16, 18 months. And so the biggest thing is knowing your value, right? And so to make 6 figures is not hard, but to give yourself the permission to make the 6 figures is hard. We're all holding ourselves back, whether we want to believe it or not. And so I'm going to ask you a question because this was very profound when I heard it. And so who is the best boxer of all time?
Who is the best boxer of all time? In my opinion, this is my opinion. It would be a toss-up between Jack Johnson and Muhammad Ali. That's mine.
Okay. So let's just say it leaned towards Muhammad Ali, okay?
Mhm.
Now, if that's the case, then who said that?
Me.
He did. Didn't
Just,
didn't Muhammad Ali say he was the greatest
he did say he was the greatest.
before anybody else knew he was the greatest, right?
Right.
And so that goes back to what I was just saying about the value, right? We are all out here in this world trying to find our way. I don't care how old we are, 25, 45, we're all trying to find our way. And so what happens is we're looking at other people's lives. We're looking at somebody else going to Europe and Greece right now. And we're saying, dang, I should be there. I should be doing this. But you don't know what they've been through and you don't know what's coming your way. And so you are taking focus off of what's coming your way. And now you're focused on what they have. And now you miss what you have. And so this is all different ways that we're devaluing ourselves. Right. And so when you wake up and you look in the mirror, you got to tell yourself, I'm the best. How often do we wake up and we look in the mirror dead in our eyes and we tell our own self that we are the best? I was not raised to do that. And so when you wake up and you go to war every day, you need to prep yourself for that war. And you need to tell the world who you are instead of having the world tell you who you are. Because every day the world is putting a label on you. Right. And I have one more question for you. Well, a couple more, but it's one question. If you were to put $100 bill in the garbage, then how much would it be worth?
$100.
So if you put $100 bill in the dirt and you step on it, how much is that $100 bill worth?
$100.
So no matter how much dirt somebody is throwing on your name or how much somebody is trying to make you sound like whatever, that does not mean that you're not valuable still. And a lot of times we think that just because we've been through something, we're not valuable anymore. And when I think about it like this, there's no reason to ever be sad. And a lot of times, if you get through that time where you don't feel valuable, always in your mind know that you're valuable, what happens is you literally go from being worth $100 and $100 bill to being a $2 bill but worth $900. Because people will pay money for a $2 bill because it's so rare. And there's a lot of people who are rare, but they're not going to put themselves out there to show the world how rare they are. And what that does is that continues to devalue themselves. So if I could say anything, I would say, know your value, not even know your worth, know your value, like to the core, to the absolute most, and go after that. Like put that out in the world. Don't be scared to tell this world who you are. So every single day when I sit here and I show up and I say, I'm a high paid, high ticket podcasting consultant, I'm the best one out here. It doesn't matter what anybody else is doing. It doesn't matter if somebody else has a podcast and it's getting 1 million downloads a month. That doesn't matter to me. What matters is my perspective, because I can guarantee you they cannot do what I do, how I do it, the same way I can't do what they do, how they do it. So if I say I'm the best and I'm the greatest, then that's what I am. And the world will see me in that way at some point in time. It may not be today, it may not be tomorrow, but I promise you in the future, they will see me in the regard of what I say I am. So in knowing your worth and your value, you have to tell the world who you are and what your value is. Other words, nobody's going to know. So if your prices are $5,000, then you need to start saying, this is what my price is when you get on these sales calls. Don't sit there and say, in your mind, I want my prices to be 5,000, but I'll do it 900 for you. That's not how this is supposed to work.
Is that how it works?
No, that's how you think it works because you're scared that they're not going to say yes. But people actually respect the person who values themselves. Yeah. And also, you're doing them a disservice by charging so low because people only value what they invest in. So if they don't invest a lot, then they're not going to appreciate it.
Wow.
So that's how I feel about life.
That's how he feels about life. Well, thank you so much for hanging out with me this past hour. You've been blessed with Isiah Fowler. He's got his own podcast called It Takes a Vision. And he's also a consultant that can help you with your podcast. So reach out, connect, connect on the business level. I'm not messing with y'all on that other stuff, but you can connect on the business level. And you guys, it has been awesome. Thank you so much for joining me. Join me next week. I've got two great women, an author and another podcaster to talk about podcasting and being great. And thank you so much for being a part of this. Remember, ignoring one's conscience is neither safe nor right. And I'll see you next time. And thank you, Pamela, for calling in. Okay, I'm going to end the meeting. And I don't think it'll end it on the other end, but I'll end it here on Facebook.
Okay.